What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans, and in this video I'm joined by our CEO CC for a quick update on what's going on behind the scenes. So with no further ado, let's go. Hey Christian, thanks for coming onto the channel.
Thanks for having me, Matt. Thanks very much.
Yeah, great to see you. Obviously, we've had a big bit of news come out in the last couple of days, the SAC balances, and we're just wondering how's everything going behind the scenes there.
Yeah, what a bloody relief to get those out, eh? It's like we're under a bit of pressure to get them done. And the truth is, they were ready probably about a week and a half ago. The challenge for us was more, we wanted to make sure that we had a platform for people to communicate with us without necessarily having to dox yourself or to use Telegram and actually share some personal information. So we kind of felt it would be better if we could have a system where you can ask questions in a anonymous way. So we developed that anonymous ticketing system to go with it. But, we had to go through a process of making sure that it was hanging together nicely, that there wasn't anything that was broken. By and large, it's working really, really well. Funnily enough, even though we thought, we might get hundreds of inquiries, we've just got to be mindful of that and just manage that. Look, I don't know how many days is it, 3 days in, we've had a total of around 15, maybe up to 20 different inquiries. And most of them are, just validation of, hey, did we record a transaction, or there might have been some missing points, or people feeling like they've missed on something, might be whether it's a referral through the referral program. So most of the inquiries we've been able to resolve, and in a lot of cases, it's just either people misunderstanding, or in some respects, unfortunately for some people, they didn't do the right thing when it came to the referral program. So they didn't actually enter the referral system. And as a consequence, they may have missed out on some referral points. But by and large, most people did the right thing. And I think it's coming through really nicely. So really happy with the way that's worked. But it's almost been like a non-event. We were so concerned about this ticketing system, bloody Dave, and and ultimately we've managed it, and it's being managed really well, and we haven't had many inquiries, and I think it's working really well.
That's fantastic. I mean, I've seen a lot of positive feedback in the comments from the video that we released, and it's great that we were prepared to take on a lot of inquiries, but the fact that 10, 15, 20 people is not a lot compared to the amount of sacrifices. That's great to hear.
Exactly. I think, as I said, we were just wanting to make sure that we were prepared so that there wasn't any sort of issue in terms of volume of inquiry. It's been managed really well. And I want to give credit to the admins. We spent a bit of time with a select number of admins prior to the launch of the ticketing system and the SAC balances, just so that we had a process in the event that people came in. Obviously, the Telegram is the best place initially to make those high-level inquiries. But any specifics around a transaction, we didn't want that to be shared amongst the Telegram group. We thought, look, people want some privacy, so let's give them something that's an anonymous way for them to communicate any concerns. And so we had to take them through that process. And I think there's one particular admin that's really particularly likes the anonymous ticketing system. So I can see that maybe some other projects might be interested in doing something similar or learning from that experience. So, but by and large, it was really good. And the admins have been fantastic. So very happy with the support.
Fantastic. Great to hear. I do know that there's a possible cutoff date for people with the ticketing system. Is that correct?
That's correct. So what we wanted to do, and people would have experienced this with PulseX and Pulse, and that is that whenever there's a change, all of a sudden your multiplier points change. And we kept thinking, oh God, this is changing all the time. One of the things I said to the team beforehand, I said, look, guys, we don't want to do that. So we just want to publish a set of numbers, get people to validate or to query that. We'd take on any sort of inquiry, and then we'd release the final set of numbers. Now, we can't actually do that till all of that's in. And we want to give people enough opportunity to come back to us with any queries that they may have. So we felt, look, let's extend it to the end of August. So you've got to the end of August to come back to us with any issues that you might feel that we need to investigate. We'll do that. And then effectively, we're going to close the books. Now, why do we want to do that? Well, for two reasons. Every time, one thing that people need to understand is every time there's a change to any transaction or anything on the system, because of the way that the ranking works for the bonus multipliers, it affects everyone. So if your multiplier increases or decreases, so does everyone else's. So if there are changes or if there's anything that we need to put into place, it's going to have an impact on everyone else. So rather than you got the majority of the community going in and thinking, oh, my balance has changed again, it keeps changing, we won't do that. We'll just close it off. And then at the end of the month, we'll do a final, effectively the final version, and that'll close the books on the SAC balances.
Fantastic. Well, it's good to know that we're at the beginning of August, so people have around 4 weeks to make sure if they want to reach out and double check their stuff. That's good to know. Going back
4 more weeks.
4 more weeks, exactly. 4 more weeks. So going back to, the release of the SAC balances, a lot of positive comments online about that, but you know how humans are. Straight away, they're asking, what's next?
Where's
next?
The dapp? Where's the dapp? Where's Testnet? It's like people's patience it's incredible. Like, we talk about delayed gratification. Can you guys delay your gratification just a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Look, the reality is that we've got a version that's running. We're testing it on a private testnet at the moment. We're doing what we need to do. What people need to understand when you're developing is sometimes you have to go slow to go fast. So what does that mean? You have to have a really good QA process. So what does that mean? Well, you've got to test and quality assure everything that you develop. So there's a whole bunch of test cases. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we need to go through. Every time there's a minor change, it can have unintended consequences elsewhere. So we have to make sure that that's all working well. So we do have a really strong QA team. So they're doing all the necessary testing. And look, a lot of credit to them, because we put this team under the pump with the ticketing system. And I think that's by and large been quite a success for us. And obviously now they're primarily focused on the dapp. My sense is, and again, everyone wants a prediction, but the reality is that probably towards the end of the month, and realistically, we'd prefer it to be after the end of the month, because whilst we'll be in a position to provide people with their SAC balances by way of test tokens, I don't think we want to provide the actual balance. We might give some test tokens in a general way. And the reason for that is largely because we're going to have a whole bunch of people that are actually locked up. So whilst they have their tokens, a lot of them may be locked up for a period of time. So, and they may want to test it, but because their tokens are locked, they can't do any of the testing. So truthfully, what we'll end up doing is we'll probably issue some tokens to people so that they can play around with the system. And again, it's just something that we're primarily focused on having completed by the end of the month.
Well, that's fantastic. I know the devs have been working hard behind the scenes, getting everything, making sure, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. It's good to hear that, just 4 more weeks for Testnet.
Look, honestly, the guys have done a fabulous job. Yeah. So the development team's done an enormous job. I know a lot of the marketing team are doing a fabulous job in the background. There's been interesting things come up there, and I'm really happy with the way that's all working. But yeah, the devs need a lot of credit for the work that they've done so far. I should also point out, and I think I've mentioned the admins in the Telegram group. Without them, I think we'd struggle, because they're the first port of call for people. So if any queries or questions come in, it's usually the admins that are stepping in to actually help the community just to get through any questions that they may have initially. So really happy as to how that's all working for us at the moment.
Yeah, the admins are the unsung heroes a lot of the time. They're there in the trenches every day. So it's great to give those guys a shout out. Before I let you go, I think there's one more thing, last but definitely not least, is something I want to touch on, is a possible Oracle partnership.
Oracle disinformation. Let's call it for what it is. The fake news that's been circulating the traps. Look, as you know, Matt, there's been a lot of innuendo, a lot of sort of commentary around Chainlink and, how it's going to break and how we're relying on Chainlink and all the rest of it. And all I can tell people is we are not using Chainlink. And there's a variety of reasons why we're not going down that path. But the main one is that we wanted to use a decentralized Oracle service. So to me, there's a lot of services that are currently, inverted commas, more centralized. It's a bit like, there's a lot of CeFi players that like to call themselves DeFi, but really they're just masquerading. Likewise with Oracle services, there are some that are very centralized. we've decided to work with Tellor. So the community may be familiar with Tellor. Tellor is one of the Oracle services that Liquidity actually uses, right? So they're the backup Oracle in the event that the primary Oracle fails. The reason we wanted to go down that path was they are a truly decentralized Oracle. Their philosophy is fantastic. So we've had an opportunity of meeting the founders. There's 3 founders effectively. So there's Brenda, Nick, and Michael. Brenda's the CEO. We had a good conversation with Brenda at the outset, and I really appreciate her candor. But she said, look, Cristian, let's work on this stuff. Let's get it moving, and then we can sort of announce it. And I totally agree with her. I thought, look, let's get this to where we're really happy with progress, and then we can make some more formal announcements. But organically, I think it's really good. I'm really happy with the way that's working. Big shout out to Nick Fett. Nick Fett's the CTO. He's one of the co-founders as well. He's fantastic. So this guy, for anyone that's interested in learning a little bit more about Tellor, they also have a YouTube channel, and they talk about different aspects. It's a little bit more technical in nature, but predominantly they focus on aspects of the Tellor Oracle. There is a specific YouTube video that he just completed. Look, I think he was at a DeFi conference, and I really like the way he discussed some of the challenges of the oracles. So for example, the centralized nature. He also speaks to the fact that, hey, bridges are perhaps another form of oracle, because really you've got an oracle service on one chain and another service on another. Mm-hmm. So in effect, a bridge is almost like an oracle service. So he talks a lot about that, and he goes into some of the challenges going forward. So really worth listening to. Really particularly like this video, and for people wanting to learn a little bit more about Tellor, I'd suggest you take a look at that. So we might add that into the one of our links at the bottom of the video, Matt, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that, to me, that working with those guys has been fantastic. I think all credit to Nick just for how he's helped us to get to this point. The other thing that we wanted to flag here is that, look, obviously for what we're trying to achieve, we really would prefer to use an Oracle service that's decentralized and having a significant number of nodes, or in Tellor terms, they call a node a reporter. So you need someone to provide you with price feeds. And you need someone to pull the prices from as well, right? But primarily the infrastructure requirement is to have a whole bunch of nodes. Now, what we do know is we've got our own validator, and we'll probably create a number of nodes to support the Oracle service. But there's also a whole bunch of folk that have spun up nodes to help validate Pulse Chain, and for all the right reasons. And some will fall into rotation, and some may not. But what we'd urge people to think about is maybe have a look at Tellor and consider them as a service for the Pulse Chain itself. And we'd be happy to sort of support the community. If anyone wants to learn about, well, what the hell is a reporter? How do I spin up a node? We'll work on developing some content. So we'll develop some content to help people understand how that works. And why would we want to do that? Well, just like we want to support Pulse Chain through the validator network, having an Oracle service that's decentralized, if we have a whole bunch of nodes doing the same sort of thing, that'll be a really good outcome for the community, and certainly a good outcome for liquid loans operating on Pulse Chain. So we'll do the work. We'll make sure it's available for people. So if I know personally, I think whilst I have some technical ability in this space, it's not my area of strength, and there's others in the team that are much better at this than I am. I think it would be really good for the community to understand, for those that may have wanted to create a validator and weren't sure who to ask, we'll do some of that. We'll do some of that homework for you and actually help you understand, well, what the hell is a node? And in terms of Tellor, what is a reporter? And how can I spin one up? And what's the benefit? Well, and so to be clear about that, some of the benefits are that, hey, there's going to be incentives that are paid for anyone that provides a price feed, right? And here's the other thing that we really like about Tellor, that I can recall, I think at one point, Richard may have, Richard being Richard, he shot down Chainlink quite severely. And I tended to agree with him that that there was no disincentive for providing the wrong price feed. It's like, this is hopeless. How do you actually avoid, bad actors coming in? Well, the nice thing about Tellor is that they actually have a disincentive, so you can get slashed. So basically, the way that the system works, as far as I understand it, is that you are basically putting up some tokens, and you're staking those tokens every time you put a price feed forward. Now, if you're a bad actor, you'll lose those tokens, right? So you'll get slashed. So there's a real solid disincentive not to provide inappropriate data. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, and I probably haven't given it anywhere near as much credit as the Tellor guys deserve. But I just wanted to point out that, guys, there's been a lot of noise out there in the market. Like, it's really frustrating at times. You know, we try and stay away from all of that drama. I just don't find it very constructive at all. We just keep focusing on building. We're building what we need to do. Matt, through the channel, you've done a fabulous job in just educating and inspiring the community. We'll continue to do that. But we also really want to focus on the educational piece now. So if people want to learn a little bit more about how do I become a node, or how do I actually report a price feed to Tellor, we'll do the homework and help them out on that basis.
That's fantastic. I mean, not only is it exciting to have that, true DeFi oracle, obviously sticking to our word on true DeFi, but also the fact we're going to be educating and making content to help people learn how to be a reporter or a node in the system.
Yep. And as I said, I think if people want to learn and you want to get some of the basics, and it's funny, you listen to Nick Fett's the CTO for Tellor, and he's been fabulous. But if you listen to this particular video, everything that he's saying, God, you could park it next to the rest of the community. Richard's sort of narrative around, hey, decentralization is critical. We don't want centralization with this stuff. We really want to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. He doesn't like centralized exchanges, which I thought, big tick. So there's a lot of what you'll hear in that particular YouTube video that resonates really strongly with this community. So I'd urge you, if you've got time, I think it's about half an hour long, so it's not too long. Take the time to understand, particularly some of the future challenges that we'll face as a community.
Yeah, I'll definitely link that video in the description box below so people can go and watch that. Thanks a lot for your time, CC. It's been a great update. A lot of exciting things coming down the pipe, and I look forward to having you back on the channel soon.
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So I hope you enjoyed that update video with CC. If you like content like this, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new content on the channel. You can also tap the like button, share the video with someone who you think it may benefit, and if you're feeling very kind, maybe drop a cheeky comment below for the algo. It does help us out. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.